Hello, everybody. It's Donna Cravata, and we're back again with another Real 50 Over 50 interview. And today we have Chantal Traub. She's a board certified health and wellness coach, a menopause specialist, doula, and childbirth educator. She's got more than 20 years of experience guiding women through major life transitions from birth to menopause. And I'm really excited to talk with her today because her business and her body followed a very similar trajectory through the evolution of hormones. And we're going to dig into that today. So, welcome, Chantal.
Thank you, Donna. It's so great to be here, and I'm really excited about our conversation.
Yeah, me too. So, how did you get started in this type of work?
Yeah, so way back in the beginning when I moved to New York, I had been in a different industry altogether, but I had been out in California and I was in all my spare time practicing yoga, and I'd gone through a yoga certification. And when I came to New York just to visit some friends, I was actually heading back to South Africa. I was offered work to teach yoga. And it isn't what it is like today that there's a yoga studio on every corner. It was very much like the best kept secret in these little hidden spots in those days. And there was no prenatal yoga, but because I had had a training to teach prenatal yoga out in California, I was invited to teach prenatal yoga and to teach other teachers, like through trainings, prenatal yoga. And it was through teaching yoga that some of my students asked me if I would be their doula to help them with their birth, which actually I became a childbirth educator and a doula, thinking more to deepen my practice. As I started attending births, it kind of, people just found me and started inviting me to attend births. At the same time, I was teaching yoga, and I was teaching a women's group out here in Brooklyn. And the women that were coming to my classes were either pre-pregnancy through post-menopause. And I learned through them that some of them who had had their children 10, 15 years ago had some type of pelvic pain. They leaked if they jumped or sneezed, or even experienced a prolapse. And the more that we began to kind of dig into those stories, what I learned was that as we age and our bodies change, then sometimes those obstetric events from the past may catch up with you. And that's how I got really deep into pelvic health. And I created my classes on second stage labor and the pelvic floor, pushing power, because I wanted to empower my own clients to learn how to push safely and effectively and protect their pelvic floor during birth and to thrive and heal fast in postpartum.
Mm-hmm.
And as I was going through my own childbearing years and moving through that, I started kind of navigating perimenopause, and I kind of crashed into perimenopause. And there was no support. Like, there wasn't even information like there is today. And it was just a matter of searching and inquiring and finding out, what the hell is this happening to me?
What is going on?
Yes. And so as I kind of navigated through that and started transitioning my practice from, I realized, like, when I was going through another thing that was happening at the same time, my father got diagnosed with Alzheimer's. And the more I kind of looked into brain health, I realized that sleep was such a kind of cornerstone, if you will, like a foundation for brain health. And I realized, this is a few years ago, like I realized, like, okay, if I'm going to be up all night helping my clients give birth, then it's going to affect my brain health. And that's when I started transition my practice into women's health coaching, knowing that to support my own brain health moving forward as I age, sleep needed to become a priority for me. At the same time, my own clients who would send me their moms or their aunts who were going through perimenopause and saying that you helped me so much during my birth, you helped me so much with my pelvic floor, you helped me so much with my lifestyle, can you help my mom? And those were some of my first clients in perimenopause, because they were either struggling with some type of pelvic health issue, or their sleep, or hormone imbalance. And those were my initial clients that kind of really helped fuel the passion to continue to steer my coaching through with helping women through perimenopause and postmenopause.
And your own body was a self-study.
And my own body, my brain was my self-study. So while I was exploring sleep as a foundation for brain health, 2020 came along with the pandemic. And because I was still attending births, and at the end of 2020, doulas were considered essential workers, and we were invited to go back into the hospitals. And I got COVID at a birth on a hospital on a labor and delivery floor. And so I got through that. And then I developed long COVID. And one of my symptoms, my two symptoms really, was the COVID insomnia and the COVID brain fog. And when that happened in November 2020, we didn't have the information out there, what there is. So you're on your own trying to figure this out. And actually, that was when I really dove into brain health. And I actually took continuing education and became a Recode 2.0 coach. I got certified through Apollo Health through brain health coaching. One, to understand my own brain and how I could heal myself from this like devastating brain fog that I was experiencing. But it's designed, the brain coaching that I do is designed to help people to prevent cognitive decline or to reverse it in the very early stages. And that was fueled by my father's diagnosis, COVID, and my own long COVID experience. And then the sleep issues that came with long COVID. So there was the short sleep that was one of the symptoms, where in long COVID, where I was averaging like 4 hours of sleep. And I thought, okay, I'm going to treat my sleep issues as a cancer. I'm going to get on top of this.
And I'm sure that, being in perimenopause at the time was just, adding.
Absolutely. At the same time, I went into perimenopause. That I got, right when I got long COVID, I got into perimenopause. Right, they were like together, and so I kind of crossed over into menopause through that year. I did heal my long COVID. I did heal the brain fog, and I did heal my sleep issues, all through a self-study of looking at some of my past stories and understanding nervous system health, if you will. And that's how I kind of
That's another question I have, is like how the nervous system fits into all of this. Because it touches every part of your body. And when those hormones start tanking, I mean, like, what happens to your nervous system, and how does that impact all of the things? The brain, the heart, the lungs, the liver, your nerve endings, your muscles and tissues. I mean, it impacts everything.
Yeah. So when we go through perimenopause, it's almost like we are going through withdrawal symptoms. So we go into this withdrawal because we're kind of learning to live with much less estrogen and progesterone. So while it's really crazy, in late perimenopause, it's our body beginning to learn, and postmenopause is a much more stable time. However, that loss of estrogen and progesterone, which gets so chaotic at the end, gives us some of these withdrawal symptoms. And if our nervous system is like dysregulated or upregulated, or if you have had like an adverse childhood or some trauma history, and your nervous system is stuck in a survival mode, right, where we're always in fight or flight, that amplifies some of those symptoms that we're feeling. At the same time, when our ovaries create estrogen, but also our adrenal glands. But when we are pushing ourselves or we're under so much stress, that depletes our adrenal glands and also those estrogen reserves that we already have so little of. So we are really burning through what little estrogen that we have. And so we have to look at stress and what does stress look like. And so for a lot of my clients, whether they have had trauma or not, it could have been like a traumatic incident. It could have been some traumatic experience through pregnancy or postpartum or early adulthood. But when we're going through our 30s and our 40s and we are going through a lot of my clients are like just high achievers. So this traumatic response often looks like high achievement or perfectionism or pushing. And with years and years and years and years and years of this, when you hit your 40s plus, that's stress
Yeah.
in the body. And so, so when the
And it
body
becomes like habitual.
it becomes habitual. Yeah. So we're constantly living in a state of upregulation. And when we're not spending time in a regulated rest, digest, recover, healing mode, that's when I think some of those injuries happen. And for me, just personally, my own personal story, this was my menopause story, is while I kind of navigated like the long COVID and the brain fog and the sleep, and finally I got on top of it and I was like, okay, I healed myself. I started having vision issues and I couldn't figure out what it was. I would go to all these optometrists and eye doctors, and they would say, hey lady, you're just getting old, try these
Oh,
glasses. So
I
ageism
hate
card.
that line.
Yeah. And nobody looked under the box. Nobody, checked for even double vision. I couldn't figure out what my vision issues. And finally, I thought it was long COVID. I thought something happened to my vision during long COVID or during COVID. And I finally got to a neuro-ophthalmologist who gave me an MRI, and we found meningioma. And that caused severe double vision. And it was just missed and dismissed for a couple of years, that by the time I got to her, it was like too late to save my eyesight. So I had to then learn to live with double vision caused by meningioma. And when we look at the research with meningiomas, is that women tend to get them more than men, and they tend to grow during big hormonal shifts. And when you look at, like for myself, and now where I really am passionate about helping my clients, is when you're living under stress, whether that's from an adverse childhood or from some traumatic event, or if you're just living in pervasive. So acute stress is okay for the body. It's actually healthy. It makes us stronger. But when we live in chronic stress, pervasive stress that just doesn't go away, it just continues. What happens is with our hormones is initially there's a drop in estrogen, but then our progesterone also drops much further and we become estrogen dominance. And this is inflammatory. And this is my meningioma. And so that was a big, big learning lesson that had I known.
Yeah. I'm in the same boat. Mine turned into AFib. That doesn't want to go away. I've had 4 ablations, and I still go into AFib 10 to 12 times a month.
I'm sorry. Yeah,
And
that's really rough.
it's hard. It's
Yeah.
hard. But I mean, like, one of the things I'm thinking as you're sitting here sharing, I mean, what you shared in 15 minutes is mind-blowing. Like, knowing what you know now, what would you tell Chantal in her 30s or her 20s? Like, what
Yeah.
would you do at that stage to, even if there was nothing really to do, just the awareness, like, what do you watch out for? What questions do you ask? When do you push for more? Because that line of bullshit is thrown at us at a very young age, and we're conditioned to not ask the right questions.
Yeah. I saw an Upper East Side ophthalmologist, pretty well established, and he told me I had cataracts and come back in a year. And now that I see like the neuro-ophthalmologists, like the top specialists, they're like, anybody over the age of 50 has the beginnings of cataracts. That's nothing. Like, no, that's not your vision issues at all. So what would I have told myself as a 30-year-old, like a late 20s, 30s, 40s? Is this the need to understand the need of what's driving you? What's that compulsive need to do more, to push harder? and the value of rest and understanding what's driving that compulsion to drive harder, push harder, push harder. And that's survival. That comes from a survival mode that was established and tuned from a very, very young age. And until you start putting the pieces of your puzzles together to understand, okay, that was then, and it served me very well then. It saved me then. But now you don't have to fight or flee anymore. It's
Yeah.
okay to spend some time in rest. It's okay to take a break. You don't always have to be achieving. You don't always have to be succeeding. You don't always have to, that perfectionism drive.
Yeah.
And the quality of deep restorative rest is so important. I never did that. I never rested
Me neither.
for years.
Yeah, me
Yeah.
neither. I mean, but prior to starting my business, I worked in law firms for 25 years, big global law firms, so they never shut down.
Mhm.
And I routinely worked 80 hours a week. There
Yeah.
were months that I went where I didn't see daylight, and that was really harmful.
Yeah.
And I
Very.
had no idea at the time because
No.
I mean, that's the world I was immersed in. And, it was so incredibly unhealthy.
Yeah, no, totally. I mean, even the belief system I had was, if you want something done, give it to a busy person. Okay, yeah, I can just take on more. Sure, just give it to me.
Mhm.
Absolutely, I can do this. And even when I'd be like, oh, I can't take on another thing, I'd be like, yeah, sure, I'll do that too. So
Yeah,
learning
yeah.
to just say no and set some boundaries, and that became such an important um, skill to learn.
It is so important, and quite honestly, I didn't learn that skill until the last couple of years. I didn't know no was an option.
Yes. And that's a very, very common. I think as women, as caretakers in our
Mhm.
service industry, um, we often are so compelled to take care of other people's needs, our clients' needs.
Yeah.
Um, and
Oh.
even though I remember once someone saying to me, an OB that I worked with many years ago, she gave me this analogy: you need to put the oxygen on mask on first before you can help out someone else. And that kind of went over my head for a few more years. I get that.
Same. Same. And then when you start your own business, now it's like, okay, I'm a parent. I'm caring for other people in my life other than my children. And now I am a solo business owner. So
Yeah.
everything there is on me. And there's no
No reprieve.
safeties. There's no safeties like with a job, like, oh, I have medical insurance. Oh, if I get sick, I have 10 sick days. There's none of that.
None.
Even though I like truly believe it's a lot of perceived safety. But there's nothing, it's just you. It's just like one more thing that's on you. And there are only so many hours in the day. So like I know for me, like I've often felt like daily felt like, you know, just keep piling it on. It'll all get done at some point. And my to-do list has the absolutes and the flexibles.
Yeah.
And the other thing that I learned how to do is I would, even if I did 100 things in the day, I would beat myself up for the one thing I didn't get done. And learning how to flip that script was so incredibly important because that one thing doesn't feel as big when you celebrate those other 100.
Yeah. 100%. I think self-compassion was an idea, a concept, a skill I only learned much later in life.
Yeah. Yeah. We did a panel about a year ago called The Selves, All the Selves. So it was like self-love, self-value, self-compassion, and it was so good.
Yeah, I can imagine.
I go back and
Sounds like
listen to that when I need it.
that sounds like a very good panel. That must have been interesting. Yeah.
So, like, how do you see, like, since your body and your business have kind of evolved together, how do you
Mhm.
see it evolving into the post-menopause space, both, physically and throughout your business?
Yeah, so when I'm coaching my clients in postmenopause, and yes, it is a much more stable time. They might not be having the hot flushes or the night sweats, but sleep does become more fragmented and much lighter as we age. And so when I'm working with clients who really want to optimize their sleep, we want to look at how can we really time, with our circadian rhythm, with like healthy lifestyle habits, good, healthy nighttime routines, but how do we optimize our deep sleep and our REM sleep? Because those are because our sleep becomes much lighter, we really want to maximize that. So a lot of my work with my postmenopause clients is really learning how to get deep quality sleep, and how to really time that well to be able to really be able to achieve that on a consistent basis. So sleep is a huge thing. I mean, of course, things like heart health, for example. A lot of my clients, so in postmenopause, the bone health comes up, the heart health, that lousy LDL, that suddenly those numbers really go up. So how can we bring those numbers down? So working with nutrition and the right kind of movement and sleep and managing stress, like all the things. But that is something that I work with a lot with my clients. So they're like, why did my cholesterol numbers suddenly go up?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a big one for a lot of my clients. And I was able to bring my numbers down without going on statins. Look, if someone needs statins, absolutely, always listen to your doctor and see a cardiologist. If you've been told to see one, for sure, work together and in collaboration. But there are other ways, like there's a huge genetic disposition, of course, as well. But there are other ways to support your heart health in so many other ways as well. And then another big one, something I went through, like when I was going through my mid to late 40s and early 50s, I literally had an injury every week and I didn't know why. And every doctor I went to, nobody understood why until I understood the musculoskeletal syndrome of menopause. And while it's so important to work hard, work out and get movement and lift weights and strength train and do all the things, knowing how to down train, knowing how to add restorative practices into your routines, rest, and finding out like how to get a good routine going for whether your work is very physical as opposed to your workout routines. Because sometimes pushing through and hard and working out really hard all the time also can cause some injuries when you just don't have the support of your hormones. As we go into perimenopause and then menopause, postmenopause, we don't have the buffering of our hormones anymore. So we can't get away with what we once got away with in our 20s, 30s, and early 40s. Like that, we just don't have that anymore.
It changes the connective tissue.
It changes everything.
Yeah.
Everything.
Yeah.
And
I mean,
yeah.
like another thing that I would bring up to my doctors and they would just they just pushed it aside. My skin changed.
Yes. And everywhere too.
Yeah.
Yeah. The skin
Everywhere.
everywhere. Yes.
And it's nothing I can't live with, but I was just concerned, like, is this a sign of something else? Because it's the biggest organ on your body.
Well, I think a lot, of course, it is part of the aging process. It gets thinner and
Mhm,
drier, of course, as we age, but there are ways to support it.
mhm.
With certain supplements or nutrition and sleep and nervous system regulation. Like there's so many ways to support the longevity of our skin and our health and our hair. Another thing that people come to me with is that their hair's falling out. And this is happens in postpartum and happens in perimenopause. So how can we support that to, to support our healthy hair and our
Our
kind of
skin and our
skin.
bones and our teeth too, all of it. I mean, all of
Yeah.
it.
Gum health is so important, and it's so important for brain health as well.
Yeah, and, when you start getting any kind of dental issues, I mean, that impacts so many other parts of your body, or it's also a warning sign from
Yeah,
things going on the inside. Um,
absolutely. When it
now,
comes to brain health, we really, really look at like mouth health.
mhm. Now, are there any questions people should be asking their doctors, or milestones that they should be kind of considering as their bodies are going through different parts of this hormonal ride, roller coaster?
Yeah, so I see like, so for example, like clients come to me and they are having disrupted sleep for a variety of reasons. So if it's something like, for example, which happens a lot to women when they go into, 40 plus and beyond, is that they start waking up to go to the bathroom. So waking up once in the night to go to the bathroom, that is like in the range of normal for someone, if they had kids or in midlife, like as we change. But if you, what we have called nocturia, if you're waking up frequently during the night, that's going to interfere with your deep sleep and your REM sleep. And there are ways to work with that, whether it is seeing like a pelvic floor physical therapist or seeing a coach like myself, where we can work on different strategies to kind of get to the root cause of
Mhm.
how can we improve that, because there are ways to actually improve that so that you're going much less often to the bathroom, for example. So if you get blood work and your numbers, are at a certain point and your doctor's like, okay, statins, okay, maybe it's like, how can we collaborate? How can we work this? Can you put me in touch with a cardiologist that can do further testing and maybe see a nutritionist or a coach to kind of help me kind of navigate this? And let's test again in 6 months. Like I think testing again in 3 to 6
Yeah,
months, once you've made some changes,
yeah.
and then see if you can maintain that. So, I
And
think working together with your medical team as in collaboration, and I, like I had like 20/20 vision my whole life, and this is a hard lesson that I learned because I advocate for my clients all the time through birth, through perimenopause. I advocate hard for my clients, and then I went through this myself, and it was so hard to advocate for myself because I'd only gone like to buy a couple of readers as I aged. I would go to,
mhm,
just the local eye doctor on the corner, optometrist, would check your eyes and give you like, I don't know,
yeah,
0.25.
mhm,
But then when I was having these issues, I had to ask someone, oh, did you have a recommendation for an ophthalmologist? I went to their ophthalmologist. He said I had cataracts. I believed him. Went back a year later. Went back a year later. Then I was like, I don't believe you anymore. And and so by the time I got to the neuro ophthalmologist, he didn't even suggest. He didn't say like, I don't know. Maybe you should see somebody else. Like couldn't say I don't know. Like
yeah.
if I don't know, I'll say, well, I'll find someone
Yeah,
else that might
exactly.
know.
You really, I mean, that's the one thing I wanted to add here, is that you have to advocate for yourself and you have to do research, and understand what's happening to your body, because these doctors are spending 15 minutes with us and they're focusing on their one body part that they're a specialist in.
Yeah.
And primary doctors are far and few between. They're like in my area, they're leaving in droves, they're retiring, or starting, concierge medical practices. Um,
Yeah, and also I think it's okay to ask for what you want. Like I have a GYN that I've just known for years, and she didn't know so much about menopause when I was going through it, but I was able to say to her, hey, I would like this, can you prescribe this for me? Or
mhm,
and she would send me something. I was like, no, that's actually not what I asked for, can you send me
mhm,
this? And she'd be like, yeah, sure. So if you can find someone who will like work with you or be
yeah,
open to working with you, open to a conversation, open to working with your own team, whether it's a naturopath or a coach, I think that's important. So your team, if they at least open to conversation, to collaboration with you, because it's really like you have to take your health working together with a team.
yeah,
So think
yeah,
about like, yeah,
yeah.
building
And
your.
and, from the experiences that I've had, um, there's in most cases, there's only so far that, Western medicine's gonna take you.
Mhm.
Then, you have to make lifestyle changes. You have to see what you're doing, because even if you feel like you're eating right, or you're living a healthy lifestyle, there could be, I mean, it could be like broccoli isn't good for you, you know? It could
Yeah,
be
it's
anything.
individualized.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so you really have to understand your body and how it works and understand what those levels are on blood tests. Like, I didn't know, and what
Yeah.
I did, my last appointment, like, they gave me very little feedback, so I
Very
uploaded
little feedback,
I
right? They
yeah,
just
yeah, and there
they
were
don't
things
even give you your results. They
no,
don't call you up
well,
and say,
they no, they gave me the results, but, there were real significant spikes and things, and I wanted to understand, and they were like, "That's normal." I was like, "It's not feeling normal, and I feel terrible." So, I
"Mhm.
wanna look deeper, so what I did was I uploaded them into AI,
Oh,
and it gave me an entire plan. It
yeah,
pointed out the things that should be watched, and it
great,
gave me an entire script to speak to my doctors, and it worked.
great,
It really worked.
great. That's a very good idea.
So, we have to do what we have to do to learn and to understand how our bodies operate because they're not just one body part. They're, one thing connects to the other.
Yeah. Well, that's another thing. Like, for example, like I have clients come to me, they have like shoulder pain, like the frozen shoulder, or hip pain. And there is so much that you can do to support it.
Yeah,
Yes, because the hormones are diminishing, right? They're fluctuating and then diminishing. But if we
yeah,
give ourselves the right care, and it's really whole person care, whole body care is so important.
yeah. And like one thing you mentioned before was like what we could do before we really can't do now. So really understanding, um, it doesn't need to be treated as a limitation.
Hmm.
It's just, things have changed and we need
Yeah.
to be respectful of those changes.
Hmm. They have. Yeah. It's learning to live with change. I think that is something that people don't always talk about. Sometimes my clients will tell me that, they feel so sad. They feel so sad and they say, I feel so sad for no reason. But
Mm,
you do have a reason. We're going through change. There is grief involved, and so we are saying goodbye to a certain part of self, but something new is emerging.
yes,
So it's
yes.
not nothing. It's sometimes, it gets very, sometimes we have to retreat before we come forward. And I'm very aware of this with the change of the seasons. Like at the end of winter, and the park is very quiet, and you look around, and it's like, it looks down on the outside, but you can feel like almost the energy right underneath the surface, right before those little buds start appearing. So I almost feel like it is a second spring. There
Mhm.
is this creativity, there is this change happening, and if we tune into that, it's a very exciting time.
It is, I agree. I agree. I mean, like, this was totally unplanned, and now I am immersed in a world of women over 50, and it's amazing. It's
Yeah.
amazing. I mean, like, I really believe we are the solution to just about anything.
Yeah, no, I love it. It's a very empowering time, and it can be a very like transformational time as well. It's like you have this like you have the second chance to really transform your life, and
And
now's the time
others,
to go for it.
and others. I mean,
Yeah.
like, not to get preachy, but just to really understand the wisdom that you've earned through
Yes.
whatever it is that you have gone through.
To help
And
others.
and learning how to not just, accept what went right, but also what went wrong, or
Hmm.
not so right. I don't like to give it a right or wrong, but and how do you package that into something that's
Well, life happens, right?
useful,
Life happens to us. I
Yeah,
often think like it keeps coming.
yeah, it doesn't
Keep,
stop.
no, no, it keeps coming at you. But to learn how to take kind of what happens, what's out of your control, and kind of help you turn that into some kind of resiliency.
Yeah,
Um, I think that's really exciting.
I think you just gave your wisdom bomb.
Okay, I'm happy to share something else.
No,
Yes.
I think that was it.
Okay. Okay.
Can you say that again?
Well, what did I say? No, like life keeps coming, right? Life keeps coming, right? It's like
Yeah,
it comes in waves, absolute waves, and sometimes things happen that are out of our control, that are not our fault. Like we can let that go. Wasn't our fault. Like stuff happens, And then how can we take that? How can we take that and sit with it, right? Go into it. And from that, one can develop like a resilience from that. It doesn't have to knock you out and flat, but how do we adapt? How do we change? How do we learn to, cope in a different way? How do we manage in a different way? Because you, the listeners out there, you are strong, you are adaptable, you are capable, and we are resilient. We can be resilient with this.
Yeah.
And so, yeah,
It
that's
could be it could be your superpower instead of the thing that takes you down.
yes, that's the cherry.
What a perfect way to end a brilliant conversation. Thank you so much, Chantal. Everybody, please connect with her. Her website is here. It's her name, so it's pretty easy to remember. chantaltraub.com. She is doing, magical work. And she's also on the Real 50 Over 50 webpage, and this interview is just going to be live and available, so share it with anybody that needs to hear it. If you have any questions or comments while you're listening to the replay, just tag us and we'll come back and keep the conversation going, and we will be back next week with more. So have a great Wednesday, everyone, and thank you, Chantal.
Thank you. Bye.